putt away, and enjoy foosball, ping pong, and cornhole, plus all the mouth-watering food and refreshing beverages you already love at the Raleigh Beer Garden. Compete with friends, family, celebrate a special occasion, or have your next event at Hop Shots Mini Golf at the Raleigh Beer Garden, 614 Glenwood Avenue.
The North Carolina Courage is the only professional women's soccer club in the world to bring home gold, silver, and bronze medals this year. And you could win a season ticket package including 4 tickets to every home game in 2025. Visit WRAL.com and search Courage to enter.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
If Travis Hunter isn't at the top of everyone's list right now, you're doing it wrong. Because he's doing something college football fans have not seen in decades. 100 receiving yards, a forced fumble in a game, first player in the FBS in 20 years to do that. I mean, the award is for the best player in college football. And for a rare two-way player to be doing what he's doing, I don't care what Colorado's record is. He should be at the top of everyone's list.
It's the Adam Gold Show. How are you? I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Oh, a nice little jazzy vibe to start the show.
I know, it's fitting with the weather, too. If you're in Raleigh, it's kind of like gray and gloomy.
Apparently, we have, there is a tropical storm in the Caribbean that is going to cleanse parts of Central and the Florida Panhandle and kind of come up more inland, but it will certainly impact, at the very least, Central to Western North Carolina. So get ready for that by the end of the week. Yep. This is your 3-day forecast.
Right.
We have dual Doppler 5000s at the ready.
Yes.
No, we don't. All right, so yes, the weather is it's a little gray outside, but we will brighten everybody's day because tonight is the start of something that I'm excited about. I know Victoria is excited about it, but we're not going to get to it just yet. We have other things to do, so let's do. All right. I kind of feel like I was sort of right yesterday.
Okay.
When we placed bets yesterday.
Yes.
And I said week 3 in the NFL was a freak show. We had a lot of teams like, really? How did you do that? Mm-hmm. Like, how did, who was the team that lost? Tampa.
Tampa Bay.
Losing at home to Denver, getting thumped at home by Denver.
They were booty.
How did that happen?
Get it, booty.
And I thought last night, theoretically, we had 2 teams that should have cruised at home. Right? Buffalo and Cincinnati. I'm like, one of them's going to lose. So I decided to go again. Cincinnati had to win.
Right.
They're 0-2. The Steelers are already 3-0.
Yeah.
No way the Bengals are going to screw that up. They had to beat Washington at home. Buffalo, by the way, I mean, to me, they're going to win that division, especially with Miami's injuries. And I thought, well, Buffalo, if anybody's going to struggle, because it is just all Josh Allen, that's probably not 100% fair, because James Cook is off to a good start.
Oh, he's got so many.
Right.
He's got Kincaid. He's got Cook. He's got
these
rookies.
I don't love their wide receiver situation. Kincaid is obviously very good, and James Cook has been dynamite. But it's still kind of the Josh Allen show, as he proved again last night.
Have MVS. Oh, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, it's not good. So, but he is. So I thought, well, if one of the two is going to lose, I'll say Jacksonville upsets Buffalo, and that game was a walk-away for the Bills. And don't you know, it was Washington.
It was. Big time.
And can I just say, Jaden Daniels might be that guy.
On fire.
Look, it's way too soon. Cincinnati does not appear to be vintage, so the fact that after week 1 when they lost at home to New England, and I think I asked Will Brinson, are we worried? And he's like, no, they always lose in week 1, and frankly, their record in weeks 1 and 2 are not great either.
No.
But week 3, what did Will say yesterday? 3-0-1 in week 3. Now 3-1-1 in week 3 because they lost their first week 3 game in the Joe Burrow era. And frankly, they were a clear silver medalist last night. My gosh.
It was ugly.
Washington, before the season started, remember I actually have a ticket at plus 1,100 on Washington to win that division. And then they got thumped by Tampa, and we went, yeah, they might not be that good.
Yeah.
They beat the Giants in the second week of the season. They kicked 7 field goals in winning that game. I think it was 21-18 or something like that. Amazing. We've seen games like that already. Steelers won a game where they kicked 6. But it's not that impressive, and maybe Washington isn't as good. And I'm not saying Washington is great, but Jaden Daniels looked it last night.
He set a record. 91% rookie, first rookie to complete. 91% he was completing stuff last night. It was crazy. He was insane.
Going for it on 4th down. I mean, just absolutely calm and poised.
I know.
The final touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, which was a great throw.
Yes.
Under duress, where he had to get rid of it before he wanted to, because I think he even got hit in the face.
Probably.
Which not really understanding why that's not
There's
also
a lot
a penalty,
of
right?
Play calling questions this weekend.
But man, to trust your rookie quarterback the way Dan Quinn trusted his, that says a ton. And
oh, man, the whole time I just kept looking at him, and I'm like, this is what I wanted Bryce Young to look like. This kid was just drafted, and he's out there comfortable. He's bold. He's dominant. He's accurate. He's doing all these things, and I'm like, this is what I wanted Bryce Young to be.
Jaden Daniels might be that. We don't know. I mean, again, we're 3 weeks into a season. We're not going to make.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that I've heard Bears fans, and I've seen Bears fans on Twitter go, well, maybe we should have drafted
That was my second thought.
Wait a second. So are we doing this? And it would be fitting.
Yes.
It would be fitting if the Bears
Got
were in
that
the
wrong.
exact same position. I don't think they got it wrong. I think Caleb Williams is going to be great.
I think so, but I did think about, oh, man, here's that level of doubt. Did they
Holy
pick
cow.
wrong?
All right, we're going to get to more about quarterbacks in a second. Here's what we know about the NFL through 3 weeks of the season. We know Kansas City is the cream, right? That's it. Kansas City is that team. However, since we've watched, they really could be 0-3.
They could.
No, I'm not saying that they should be 0-3, but I mean,
It's very on brand for them after last season.
Baltimore. I mean, if Isaiah Likely can get his toe in bounds, which he probably should have, right? They could have lost the second to Cincinnati, could have easily lost that game.
Yep.
And then they didn't blow away Atlanta. That was a competitive game late. So, we all agree, Kansas City's the best. But difficult start to the season, but still could have lost each of those games. Buffalo was the best beneath them. I'm confident in saying that.
They were so good last night. Everything was clicking for them.
But show me the person who isn't waiting for Josh Allen to start committing silly turnovers, just like dumb turnovers. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because he did that last year routinely. He would do one of those a game.
Yeah.
And you go, what?
See,
Why?
we got to wait for a team that gives him pressure because he didn't have that last night.
No, not at all. To me, it's still the Josh Allen show, even though there is some help. And I look at Josh Allen like I looked at Cam Newton.
Oh, 100%.
Right? He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And as long as they can kind of manage it, keep him healthy, they're going to be a threat every week.
Oh, yeah.
All right, who else do we think is good? We think San Francisco's great, right?
Yeah.
They're 1-2.
Right.
Hey, big injuries. Christian McCaffrey
Huge.
and Deebo Samuel both hurt.
very bad
right?
for them.
So those are and McCaffrey. Did you hear he went to Germany?
No, I didn't.
Yes, he went to Germany to seek out some opinions, maybe some treatment.
Okay, not to drink beer and
No,
pretzels.
no,
Okay.
he's not going to Oktoberfest. He's not going to wear lederhosen.
Okay.
Although he would probably look good in that.
Yeah.
But he's having Achilles and calf issues. Debo is hurt again. So San Francisco's got to kind of hold it together. They also blew a double-digit fourth quarter lead for, if I saw this correctly, the fifth time in the last 2+ seasons, which is more than any other team in the league.
It's not good.
How do the 49ers, with as good as they are on both sides of the ball, blow fourth quarter leads?
They and the Eagles are very similar in that sense. Blowing leads.
That is very true. Do we know about anybody else? Again, we talked about Washington. And then speaking of former first-round pick quarterbacks, there is a rumor that Doug Peterson is going to bench Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
So here's my question. He's 6'6". I thought if you were tall, it was all good.
You're automatically good. What happened? I
guess
don't know.
not. I guess it's not the...
He goes to Waffle House and everything.
I guess it's not the be-all. All right. Mac Brown was so emotional after their embarrassing performance to JMU that he all but offered to step down as UNC head coach in the locker room to his players, right? You know, if I'm not the right man, then I'll step down. And then there were reports that said he actually did step down. I mean, I saw those. And then he kind of went back on it, which is, I mean, clearly emotional. So he's all over the place with regards to this. Then he recanted, and now we're in the I was taken out of context or it was misinterpreted type of a thing. And frankly, I don't care. Players want him to stay, which is the wrong way for an administration to make any decision in college, is what the players definitely want, because the players change. I guess they do in the pros now too, but the players change all the time. But so let me ask this question. We will get into it a little bit more later this hour. Is Mac Brown remaining head coach at North Carolina best for UNC football? Yeah. I will just pose this question and we will dig into it in a little bit. Between Sam Howell and Drake May, Brown had 2 NFL quarterbacks, and the Heels won a bunch of football games. They didn't win all the ones that they really wanted to win. They didn't win a lot of the big ones. They didn't get the most out of Sam Howell, 4th-round pick, Drake May, 3rd overall pick. But it was a good run. It wasn't an amazing run, but it was a good run. I thought, based on the way last year went and the way, honestly, Mac was last year, I thought with Drake May going 3rd in the draft, Mac was going to call it quits. I was waiting for that press release from UNC. It did not come. I wonder if Mac wants a do-over.
Probably.
Right? And I think that led to the emotional response to getting 70 put on the board by JMU. Also, this is a big week for UNC football. I don't want to pretend that this is the most important game on the schedule for the Tar Heels. They are 3-1. It's not like they're 0-4. They're 3-1. But it is Duke week. This matters to Mac Brown. If they don't win this week, I think the clock is ticking, and I wouldn't be surprised if we'll never get to Halloween. If Duke wins this week, I don't think there is a chance on this earth that we get to Halloween without an announcement that this will be Mac Brown's last year. I think if they beat Duke, I think we'll get to the end of the season without any announcement. But I do believe that I'm just looking at it. I really thought last year was going to be Mac's last year. I'll be surprised if this isn't.
Should have been.
I will be surprised. And I will just say it this way, and then we will. I want to move on to something else. Mac Brown, maybe not so much in this run, but Mac Brown, based on what he did his first go-round at UNC, winning a national championship in Texas, I mean, a gentleman, good for the game. He has earned the right to make the call on when he wants to step aside. But right now, somebody should hand him the phone to make that call. It just does. I am baffled that you could be that bad against JMU. Baffled. They did not look like they practiced against James Madison. All right, college football is about to see more deck chairs moving about. This is great. The Pac-12, remember last week, want to get this, you have to write these things down, otherwise you'll never remember.
Right.
The Pac-12, which has two teams.
Pac-2.
Oregon State and Washington State.
Right.
Added San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State to become the Pac-6.
Yes.
All right. Now, they still want to get to at least 8 teams so they can have a viable conference. So, they had offered Tulane, Memphis, Texas, San Antonio, and South Florida. They offered those 4 schools from the American, to which I tweeted over the weekend, why would those 4 schools leave the American to go to that Pac-12, which, again, would only get them to 10? And the response was because the rules say that the Pac-12 would retain their automatic bid to the college football playoff if they reconstituted as at least an 8-team conference. And okay, them's are the rules. And if those are the rules, those are the rules. But ultimately, they don't have a television deal. And I want to know the network that's going to say to that group of schools, oh, yeah, we want to pay good money for that. Because, no, we're not just paying for the name Pac-12. We need to show teams. And there's a reason why Oregon State and Washington State didn't follow Oregon and Washington into the Big Ten. Because the Big Ten says, yeah, we don't need you. We have the bigger schools. We have the better schools, the more prestigious schools in your state. We don't need you, right? San Diego State, yeah, you can make an argument. Fresno State, get out of here. Boise State, yeah, I mean, 15 years ago, Boise State ain't all that anymore. I mean, they just didn't have the same staying power as a college football power like they did for a while. So who would want to televise that and pay them a lot of money? Texas, San Antonio? Are we serious? Now, you might make an argument Memphis has been good or South Florida has been good. I mean, to what degree? So, I don't know. But anyway, it started this chain reaction of all these things. And the Pac-12, which was going hard after schools in the Mountain West Conference, got turned down by those 4 American Athletic Conference schools. And the Mountain West Conference all got together, I don't know, on a WhatsApp and said, hey, we're all going to stay, right? And everybody said yes, except at the 11th hour, Utah State went, nah.
Whoops.
We're going to the Pac-12. So now Utah State makes it the Pac-7. I don't know if it's a rule that you must have state in the name of your school, but they all do. Well, nobody knows what's going to happen. Everybody's scrambling to try to shore up their base, but all I know is it is madness in the Pac-12 Mountain West Conference and American. And I did see something very interesting, that those 3 conferences should all just get into a pool and do promotion and relegation and all just be together. And honestly, it makes sense. It makes sense. All right. You know what really makes sense? Tonight. Tonight is the start of the Carolina Hurricanes preseason schedule. I'm excited. Victoria is excited. I don't know if the head coach is excited, but I was down at PNC Arena and I talked to Rod Brindamore.
Would you rather be practicing again today, or are you ready for this?
Again, I got to go back out there. So these are long days for the staff. We get 2 sessions and then get on a plane and go play a game. But I think the way preseason's morphed over the last 10, 15 years, the games are becoming less important because guys already are dialed in. Could drop the puck yesterday, or to be honest with you, a week ago,
right?
Because they just put so much work in the summer. So, it's an interesting time right now. Just you want to get through it, okay, but obviously you want to get everybody up to speed.
Let me ask you about the 3 kids that are going to play together with Felix Unger-Sorum, with Bradley Nadeau, and Jackson Blake. What are you looking for from them? And they've certainly played together a lot already.
Yeah, well, listen, they're, I think, 3 of our better young, talented players, and whether they're here now, you're going to see them, good chance you'll see them at some point in the future. So I like putting them together. The thought, anyway, is just to see if, one of them really does step up and kind of maybe outshine the other 2, whereas if you spread them out, you could say, wow, they're playing with this guy and that guy. So let's just see how they all mesh. Could be a line down in a few years from now. Might be something special. So there's not a lot of pressure on them. We just want to see what they can do.
You got 2 guys in similar positions. Jack Drury and KK have sort of jockeyed back and forth at that spot. How have you seen? What have they looked like to you in camp so far?
I don't have a lot of assessment for practicing. It's
right.
Did we come in shape? That's a big deal. And then it's okay. Let's see where the fit is. Let's make sure that we got to put the best team out there, and guys got to earn that, right? And so that's a little bit at stake here as well as we go through camp.
All right, Piotr, he's going to get the start. Is the plan to stay with him through 60?
We'll see how the game's going. I don't want him to be overtaxed if the game's not going our way. But he wanted to get in there, and in the past with our home games, a lot of preseason, they're getting 5-6 shots.
Sure.
There's not much. That's not benefiting them. So he was the one that actually was like, I need to get in there. So I love that about him. We'll see how the game's going.
Did you like playing these games as a player?
You know that answer. I did when I was younger a little bit because I wanted to show my stuff,
sure.
But obviously once I had done that, it's an interesting, discussion. That's how I ended up here, is because I played an extra preseason game and broke my foot that shouldn't have been playing in, and then ended up here. So it worked in my favor, but, I know what these games are about.
I know you're all about family and, getting everybody together, but for you tonight, your son's going to be in the game. Your thoughts on coaching a game with him in it?
It's tough because I'm as hard as, on him than anybody. And it's, you go from dad mode to coach mode. And,
right.
I've always coached him when he was a kid. It was always the toughest on him just because you have to be, So I hope he plays well, not too nervous. I know it's a tough spot, but hopefully, he takes advantage of the opportunity.
Does he call you dad?
No, he doesn't say anything. He just keeps his mouth shut and see what he can do.
Who's wearing the letter? Are you going to put a letter on him?
No. That's an earned. We got some leaders out there who are going to be playing tonight.
Who is going to wear a letter tonight?
Well, I don't even know if we put them on. To be honest with you,
okay.
You don't really have to. But we got Jack's out there and Orly's out there and. You mentioned KK, but we got some those. There's also some other older players that are in this game that are trying to, show something that we might, get them in the mix, and so I like that too.
All right, final thing. Is there anything to this game to you? Do you just want to? What are you looking for out of it?
Well, the guys that are playing are in there for a reason. and I haven't really told them that, but we've got some guys that need to get in a little better condition, to be honest. There's some guys that we've already discussed. I'm looking to see where they, who's playing better than who. And then there's a reward. We reward some of the young guys that came into camp and were in the top of our, conditioning chart.
Right.
And then you have some guys that we mentioned, that the young talent kids that you have to see. So you can kind of figure out who that all is as you see who the lineup is.
I'm excited for tonight. Some guys who need to be in better condition. Interesting. He talked about, basically the competition battle, and I will lay this out. Jack Drury and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, even though I believe Kotkaniemi will get the first crack at playing in what amounts to Carolina's second line, Jack Drury basically had taken that spot by the end of last year. So I could certainly see him playing up in the lineup, but they're both in the same exact situation. They are playing with veteran kind of bottom six wingers tonight. Neither has a sniper on either side of them. The youth, and then those vets, the Sam Gagnes, Rocco Grimaldis, Tyson Jost, Brendan Lemieux of the world. Those are going to be the wingers that are playing with Drury and Kotkaniemi. And all three guys here in a PTO, Grimaldi, Gagne, and Skylar Brindamore, will be in the mix tonight. And the youth, of course, for all the people who love prospects, we are going to see Felix Unger-Sorum center, Bradley Nadeau on the left, Jackson Blake on the right. Also, only one regular defenseman in. Only Dmitry Orlov is in tonight. We'll see Pyotr Kochetkov maybe go the whole way tonight in goal. So I'm looking forward to it. I know Victoria is. And when we come back, we'll get into the Mac Brown era at UNC. Al Hood from Tar Heel Fan Blog will join us next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Move your sports day forward.
They played a complete football game, in which it paid off for me in spades. I was able to gas up my car today thanks to Andy Dalton's 319-yard performance. I appreciate that. I do. And y'all should appreciate that too. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, it's okay. It's okay to be happy today. Pound your chest. There are other teams in bad places.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Adam Gold here from our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And let's get started on Week 4. Think about it right now, because Thursday's not that far away. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed to new customers when you make your first $5 wager. Cowboys at Giants. Boy, does Dallas need a win, and they need a win convincingly. Giants aren't that good. CD Lamb's going to have a big day. Dak Prescott should have a big day. Who knows? Dallas needs the win. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Global Golf, Carolina's home to the largest selection of pre-owned golf gear, is having a 2-day sidewalk sale this Friday and Saturday only. Get huge deals like drivers starting at $50, golf bags starting at $40, and golf shirts starting at $15. Get these special deals and more only at the Global Golf Retail Store, located on 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. Global Golf, home of the best deals in golf.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
It's truck season at Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. Get yourself a brand new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 with a combined discount of up to 15% off. Or just 5.9% interest for 84 months with a 9% combined discount when you trade in a 2013 or newer vehicle. See dealer for discounts and details. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford. Visit in person today or online at wilkinsoncars.com.
Bobby Joe absolutely hated her job.
Can't hate that job any more than I do.
So, time for one of those fancy tech schools?
No, I could never afford that. I'm going to Sharky's.
Sharky's?
Yeah, no better place to relax. Great food, cold beer, good whiskey, darts, billiards.
So now you love your job?
No, I still hate my job, but I loves me some Sharky's. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, everybody loves Sharky's. Sharky's Place, one of the best neighborhood bars in the world. 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. If you are in Raleigh, or if you just care, Hurricanes tonight, 6:30 for the pregame show. We call that Storm Watch. I will host. And 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock, drop the puck in Tampa. That's where the Hurricanes will be playing. And we'll also have the usual aftermath, and yes, it was asked of me on Twitter. I know it's just a preseason game, but will there be a Canes Corner podcast following? And yes, when we are done with the post game, and rest assured, probably not going to spend a ton of time on the post game tonight. We will get right to Canes Corner podcast live on YouTube. So get yourself ready for that. A gentleman who has been a guest on the Canes Corner podcast because he wears he wears many hats, I'm sure, but two of them. We will get to both of them. We will get to the Hurricanes in a minute, but as we bring in Al Hood from Tar Heel Blog, at Al B. Hood on Twitter, we're going to start with the Tar Heels. And I know you wrote the winners, losers, and whatever the other category was piece on Tar Heel Blog. There were winners? Really?
Well, listen, I mean, the article is winners, losers, and honorable mentions, so I will be. And I debated going sarcastic with it, but from an objective standpoint, and it really kind of made the Mac Brown discussion hurt even more if you think about it. The offense for Carolina was really, really good. Like Criswell threw for more yards than Drake May did at least all season last year. The offense scored 50 points. Like, if you told me that Criswell passed for 475 yards, that Hampton ran for 130 yards, that Carolina scored 50 points, I'm going to tell you, they won. That's the best the offense looked all day. They didn't score enough points the whole game to beat JMU in the first half.
Right.
But it's silver lining. Like it is the one thing to be like, quarterback was a huge question for the Tar Heels going into the year, and third try is apparently a charm. Criswell just looks good, and it's hard to blame the loss on Saturday on him. So,
I mean, they turned it over 5 times as a team. I will say this:
it's hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard. We could discuss the turnovers and everything along those lines. Like once things start going downhill for JMU and you start forcing things, it becomes easier to defend and et cetera. The offensive line played a huge role in that too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was once played in a golf tournament and made about a 30-foot putt for a 15 on the first hole. So when somebody asked me, how did you make a 15? I said, I made a 30-footer. And
exactly.
So that's let's move on because I do want to dig into the emotions of Mac Brown after the game in a locker room to his own team, in which reports said that he said if we think that I'm not the person to turn for this situation, then I will step aside. Players implored him not to. And then reports had him actually telling administrators that he was going to step down, and then he went back on it. He's clearly emotional. Getting 70 put on you by JMU, and not even a vintage JMU team, will certainly do that to you. What is your read on where we are with Mac?
I think that he did a really big amount of walking back of that yesterday at his press conference.
Yep.
I'm willing to concede to him that it wasn't so much the idea that at that exact moment he wanted to leave, that it was one of those coaches' tropes that you use to try to get the players to buy into you because you feel like anything else you've tried just isn't going to work. But also, clearly there was something about the way he said it to where the reporting by Inside Carolina was such that they reported it the way that they did. Someone inside the locker room felt that it was something that needed to get out to the point to where Inside Carolina would report it. So it feels as if there is definitely some undercurrents going on here to where, I mean, we knew when he was hired he was not going to be a long-term solution for Carolina. At least we thought that he wasn't going to be a long-term solution for Carolina. But it's clear that just the game itself and the fact that the team just, as you mentioned earlier, just looked like they hadn't done anything for the past week. They just had everything just hung up on them, and they just failed to show up, period. It would make any coach sit there and at least for a second wonder, are they even listening to me anymore?
Right.
And once you start questioning that, then it is fair to say, is it time for a new voice out here? Is it time for a new voice to start speaking to these kids?
Al Hood from SB Nation Tar Heel blog joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. None of us expected the Mac Brown era to go on forever. This is year 6. We probably didn't think it would get. I didn't think it would get to this point. I thought he was a let's get a reset and then find somebody else based on the way last season went. When you have the number 3 pick in the draft in Drake May coming back, a legit Heisman Trophy candidate at the start of the season. It obviously didn't go well, and my read was that Mac was kind of tired of it all. I thought last year would be it. When Drake walked out the door, Mac was going to follow him to the draft and beyond, and that would be it. And then Mac would go do TV or go enjoy his, well-earned retirement with Sally, and that we'd be done. But he came back. I'm not sure he doesn't wonder if that would have been the better decision to actually follow Drake out the door. I said this before. I'll be surprised if this isn't his last year. And I have no inside information at all. What is your read on it?
My read on it with Mac is that it's a little bit simpler than that. He wants to write his own ending. Didn't end well for him in Texas, and even though he left, it wasn't all the way voluntary. So there was a lot of ways of him coming back to Carolina to try to rewrite the story and rewrite the ending to show that he still had it and he still could be a successful coach. And he wanted to leave on an up note. So to your point, there is a validity in the idea that if the last season had gone and if it hadn't ended in the dumpster fire that it did, if it had ended well, and it had ended at the very least similarly to how 2022 ended, at least with an ACC championship game run, he probably could have justified in his mind of, okay, I've got the number 3 quarterback. I got Carolina to back-to-back ACC championship games. He was in the Heisman conversation. I'm ending this on my own terms. Instead, much like it did to Texas, kind of took a left turn.
Yeah.
Things just continued to go downhill. And if he left, it would not be on his terms. It would not be the good look. I mean, all coaches have egos. You know, some are bigger than others, but his motivation here is clearly he wants to end it and leave his name to where it's a good note. It's on. He wants it to be remembered as getting Carolina back into the place to where it is. So if he can follow up this year and it be a year when there weren't as many expectations, maybe this is the year where he at least can at least leave on his own terms, his own good terms. But then you have a game like this Saturday and you wonder, does that make him say, okay, I'm done trying to do this again? Or does that just make him dig in his heels even more to say, okay, no, we're going to keep trying until I can actually have a good season I can hang my hat on.
The interesting thing for me is that, and Al Hood is joining us from Tar Heel blog, SB Nation. We're going to get to his other website with SB Nation in a second, is that he tried to write his own exit at Texas, and it was written for him. And it seems to me like that's going to happen here too, because this season is certainly not going to end well. And I don't know that the prospects for a turnaround are next year too. And I can't believe that the university, regardless of how many, high dollar boosters are in Mac's, corner, I just don't see anybody really signing up for this anymore.
Just, you would think so. And I mean, the most of us that write for Tar Heel blog, I encourage anybody who's curious about where we as the whole site stands. You read my column where I called out Mac, but it was building on what our site editor and site assistant editor, Brandon Anderson, both wrote on Sunday following the loss. Brandon wrote about it in his 3 Things Learned. Tanya had a great just post period about Mac and his comments in the locker room. I mean, we're all frustrated at this point.
Right.
The rank and file fan base is frustrated. But it always comes down to $1 and cents. And you say it's about the boosters. You go back to when Carolina finally cut bait with Larry Fedora. It wasn't necessarily that the boosters had abandoned him. It was when the stands started getting empty. It's when season tickets just completely dried up. It's when fans just lost hope. And unfortunately, that's going to kind of be what it takes for that sort of move to happen at Carolina. And Mac is much better at the political game and the booster game than Larry Fedora was.
Oh, yeah. Fedora didn't want to play it, and he didn't even want to recruit the state.
Right. And Mac is so good at that, and it's honestly why he's being given a long leash to try to write his own exit. You know what? And all the silver linings aside, and I know it sounds like I'm trying to talk that way, Carolina still hasn't played an ACC game yet.
Right.
You talked about the importance of the Duke game this weekend.
Huge.
And, based on how both teams are looking going into the game, you would think that Duke, I haven't looked at the lines yet. I would imagine Duke is coming in as a favorite. You've got the home and
3 points.
And how both teams, thank you, how they're coming into it. But, you've also got Matt Brown's history with Manny Diaz, and Manny does not exactly have a great record against him. As you said, Mac has the ability to get players up for the Duke game. Remember, the last good win Carolina had last year was against Duke.
It's their Super Bowl, really.
On the field. Yeah. I was at that game, and it felt great. And sometimes a game like this past weekend can do the thing that you need to snap kids awake. And if they turn around and throttle Duke 28-3, which I don't think will happen, but if they do, again, tenor changes. And then you look at the rest of the ACC schedule and their ACC schedule, and you say, you know what, it's 8-4, maybe even 9-3 is still absolutely possible. So
yeah,
I don't think it'll happen because of the way they showed up, but it is possible.
The team we watched Saturday probably doesn't have 9 wins in them, but I don't anticipate that exact team showing up again. All right, we spent too much time on North Carolina football, and basically, if you judge it based on allowing 70 points, anything more than one question was probably too much. But we've got like 60 seconds left, so we'll flip to Canes country now, where you can also read Al Hood stuff at Al B Hood. All right, so not a lot of guys, not a lot of firepower in the lineup tonight. Drury and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Jack Drury, Jesperi Kotkaniemi are both going to center top 2 lines. But that kid line of Felix Ungersor and Bradley Nadeau, Jackson Blake, they are going to be featured. So what are you going to be staring at your laptop tonight? Because that's really where where you can watch it. What are you going to be looking for?
Looking to see if one or more of those prospects, and who knows who, but if one or more of those prospects basically has a 2021 Seth Jarvis type preseason. I mean, that's essentially it. The last couple of years, the Canes have not really had the opportunity for someone who was a prospect or who we expected to be playing in the minors to make the jump and get the opportunity to play on opening night. So everything has been set. Rosters have been set. There is absolutely the opportunity for someone to jump up to make such a strong impression to where they may have thought they had been starting the year out in Chicago, or overseas, but in the end, they're going to be wearing a sweater on opening night. That's my big thing. Also, KK, underrated. He stayed on. The team decided to hold on to him. They're showing faith in him. He's got to step up. Yep. He's got to step up this year with the losses and everywhere else. He's got to play a bit. He's got to start earning the contract that they essentially placed into him.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I think Kotkaniemi and Jack Drury they're both going to be in the lineup. Barring injury, they're both being announced on night one against Tampa here in Raleigh on the 11th of October. But who plays with who is or whom will be determined, I think, by how they play in the preseason. Although, and I've said this before, I think Kotkaniemi definitely has pole position to play with Natchez, and I still think Svechnikov on that line to start the season. I think you want to give KK 2 elite wingers, Aho, Jarvis, and throw another guy out there would probably end up being a pretty good top line. Anyway, Al Hood at Al B Hood on Twitter. My friend, I will talk to you very soon. Thank you.
Sounds good, Adam. Thank you.
You got it. Al Hood here on the Adam Gold Show. When we come back, one-timers, Victoria, and it feels very hockey-ish since it's the start of the preseason tonight. Victoria will pass me the puck between the rings, and I will one-timer answers. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I am Bruno Hinojosa and I live in Asheville. I work in construction and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. I went to their website, applied, and got covered. Doctor visits, yearly checkups, and even emergency care if I need it. Being a business owner can be stressful at times, but knowing that I got covered, it just takes weight off my shoulders. And I can get the care that I need when I need it at low or no cost. And it's one less thing I need to worry about now.
NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Week 4 is here of the NFL, and you can start with a chance to win big on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And I am Adam Gold, and new to FanDuel, you get started $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Don't even have to win it, just have to make it. You can get yourself a single-game parlay thinking ahead to Thursday Night Football, Cowboys and Giants. Giants aren't good. Cowboys, well, we're not really sure, are we? FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcast.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
This is Adam Gold.
While I'm watching Colombia-Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
That was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria producing the program. Worth pointing out, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this at all, but at a hearing on welfare reform, Brett Favre, Hall of Fame quarterback, Packers, Jets, Vikings, announced that he had Parkinson's. I saw that on Twitter. And then went into the mentions, and boy, that escalated quickly.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, as reprehensible as some of the things are that Brett Favre has been accused of doing, and by the way, the things that I'm thinking about have nothing to do with Crocs.
Right.
That's one thing. But you know, if in fact he is does have Parkinson's, that's awful news.
Yeah.
So
it's not good.
I just thought I would bring that up. It's the headline right now on ESPN. All right, we got questions and answers. Let's do it.
Okay, well, as much as I would love to do some hockey things, I've got football on the brain.
All right, let's do it.
So,
I'm ready.
Straight up, is Trevor Lawrence a bust?
Well, it's close. Here's the thing. Even if you're a first overall pick as a quarterback, that doesn't guarantee you anything.
No.
Lawrence, Jameis Winston, still in the league. Baker Mayfield. Second iteration is good, but he's certainly not franchise quarterback good. Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. And Goff took him a long time to become, let's just say, a top half of the league starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Trevor Lawrence isn't even a top half of the league starting quarterback. I do remember somebody criticizing Lawrence when he was at Clemson and getting made fun of for doing that, but
yeah,
I've never been a huge fan.
I'm not either.
So
yeah.
He is the Harlequin romance cover boy.
Yes.
He's long flowing blonde hair.
Right?
Exactly.
Good
He's
Waffle House
Fabio.
sponsor.
He's
yeah,
Fabio.
I know exactly. Well, people, we were talking about this on Twitter because I made a tweet last night about how bad he is. So yeah.
He's not good.
No,
and he might get benched.
He's in between bust and.
He was also saddled with Urban Meyer his first year,
yes,
which is bad.
Is very unfortunate with that. Well, speaking of head coaches at least. So, what scenario does Doug Peterson keep his job if the Jags don't make it to the playoffs? Because he's kind of been floating around for a minute.
Yeah, I think Doug Peterson benching Trevor Lawrence is the indication that Doug Peterson knows that it's done if they don't get something out of Lawrence and make the playoffs.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Doubleheader Monday Night Football did not disappoint. We had the Buffalo Bills dominating the Jacksonville Jaguars and a somewhat surprising Washington Commanders win in Cincinnati against the Bengals. And if you had Jamar Chase or James Cook as an anytime touchdown scorer, then you definitely had a good night. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and making a wager on who scores the touchdown is only one way to go when using the BetMGM app. You can even get more detailed by picking who will be the first or last touchdown scorer. But that's only scratching the surface, because when you open the BetMGM app, you'll see options like betting the money line, same game parlays, live bets, prop bets, and BetMGM offers these reoccurring daily promotions for day of games. All brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today and please gamble responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Here's Megan with Parkway Sleep Centers.
Are sleepless nights affecting your life? Parkway Sleep Health Centers can help. We've treated sleep disorders in the Triangle and beyond for over 20 years. We offer sleep studies, office visits, CPAP machines, supplies, and more. And our streamlined process allows us to see you sooner and usually saves hundreds of dollars.
End sleep problems. Live your best life. Experience the Parkway Sleep difference. Visit parkwaysleep.com and start your journey to better sleep today. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi. So get started. Even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well. So call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Global Golf, Carolina's home to the largest selection of pre-owned golf gear, is having a 2-day sidewalk sale this Friday and Saturday only. Get huge deals like drivers starting at $50, golf bags starting at $40, and golf shirts starting at $15. Get these special deals and more only at the Global Golf Retail Store, located on 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. Global Golf, home of the best deals in golf.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90Nation or at windownation.com.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces away into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
3rd down and 7. 4th quarter clock stopped at 2:15. Washington leads by 5. They're at the Bengal 27. Shotgun snap to Daniels. Blitzes on. Throws an arching spiral pass into the end zone, and it was caught by McLaurin. Was he in the corner? Yes! Yes, he was! Touchdown! In the back corner of the end zone. 27-yard touchdown. Knee was down. Ball was caught. 2:10 to play. And if it stands, Washington would go up by 11.
It was a tremendous throw, a tremendous catch. And man, when you watch the Commandos, you think, maybe.
Yeah, could see it.
Philadelphia does not look great. Jalen Hurts has been kind of a turnover machine. The defense doesn't look as good. The Dallas Cowboys don't look as good.
Yeah, fun little sad fact. Our guy Frankie Louvu led in tackles last night in that game.
He was very good.
Love you, Louvu.
Last night. Really, really good. Maybe their best defensive player last night. Jeremy Chin is also patrolling the secondary for the Commandos.
Yep.
Remember when Jeremy Chin was a thing here? So, look, this team will go as far as Jaden Daniels takes them at quarterback. He has been great, or he was last night. And I know already in Chicago they're going, should we have drafted that guy?
Oh, yeah, they're thinking that.
Look, the Bears are not the finished product. They still have to address their offensive line, but I would argue this.
And their staff.
Well, yes, but I would argue this about offensive lines. Washington's isn't great either. Jaden Daniels was either buying time or getting rid of the ball early and still making things happen. It was impressive. He was really impressive.
Yes.
So,
God forbid he gets injured, though. That's a problem. If it happens.
Because they dumped Sam Hell, right? They got rid of Sam. Where is Sam in Seattle? I actually don't know.
Yeah, he's
We'll have to look that
around.
up. We will. We'll look it up. Right now, it's time for a second crack at the news of the day. And we are going to start in the NFL. I do find it interesting because I think through 3 weeks of the season, we know so little.
Yes.
We really don't know very much at all. We know Kansas City is the best team. But then again, the best team coulda, shoulda lost in week 1, coulda lost week 2, and was good, but they weren't awesome against the Falcons in week 3.
Mm-hmm. Sam Housen with the Seahawks.
See, I was good guess on my part.
He's up there.
So, yeah, Kansas City's the best, but they're 3-0, and probably all things being equal, 2-1, maybe 1-2. Buffalo, very impressive. Josh Allen has been all that. James Cook has been great. Defense very good. You know what I think, other than Josh Allen and his heroics, what I think the Buffalo Bills have going for them more than anything, continuity. I don't think Sean McDermott's great. I think he's okay. He makes a ton of mistakes still, but they've been doing this as a unit for a long time. And there's a lot of continuity among the players. So that gives them a huge advantage over most, if not all, other AFC teams not named the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're better than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has Mike Tomlin, and they have not screwed up any games. Therefore, they're 3-0. Looking forward to talking to Brooke Pryor of ESPN, who covers the Steelers. And we'll get into Justin Fields. How big a role has he played in all of this? Or have they just really been relying on the defense, which for the most part, they have. San Francisco's great, but they're 1-2 and blew a fourth quarter double-digit lead for, I believe I saw the 5th time since the start of the 2022 season. So 2 full years plus 3 games. 5 double-digit blown leads from a team that just played for the Super Bowl and has been one of the best teams in the NFC for the last 5 years. It is baffling how many games they have blown in that period of time. So, let's start with Washington and the head coach, Dan Quinn, who showed remarkable patience and confidence in his rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
He's a really cool customer, and he's got real poise about him. I thought going in, we knew the importance of the ball and the decision making for that. We just couldn't give them short fields and chances to go. So his ability to know when to, when not to, when to make a play with his legs, I thought we've seen a lot of this at practice, and now it's carrying over into the games where the decision making, sliding, going, taking your shot. But I thought it was a really strong performance tonight by him.
Apparently he doesn't like to slide. When he did slide, the broadcast made a big deal out of it, and they flashed the camera on Dan Quinn, and Quinn was laughing. He's like, hey, look at that. He can do it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, the Cincinnati Bengals are 0-3, and Joe Burrow, who looked hurt in week 1, performed great in week 2 in the maybe coulda, shoulda won at Kansas City. Couldn't beat Washington at home in a game they had to win. Here's Burrow on the 0-3 start.
The common denominator from the first 3 weeks, we've had opportunities and didn't cash in on those. So whatever we got to do to get better this week, so we can come back on Sunday and execute in the spots and get better in the spots that we need to, is what we're going to do.
They have really underachieved, and they're 3 games behind the Steelers. 3.
Yeah.
You only play 17.
It's weird.
Yeah, I know what the chances are of Cincinnati making the playoffs. Not great. But ultimately, I'm not sure that Pittsburgh is any more than a 10-win team. So with 14 games left, can the Bengals go 10-4? Yeah, they can. They can beat the Steelers twice and go 10-4 and maybe steal Pittsburgh's spot. I still think Baltimore will end up with more than 10 wins. But again, I know they won this past week, but it hadn't been great for them. having lost the opener in Kansas City and then inexplicably losing at home to the Raiders. Ryan Clark from ESPN on what went wrong for Cincinnati.
Offensively, I thought Cincinnati played extremely well. We saw not just a good Joe Burrow, but a great Joe Burrow. Not just a good Jamar Chase, but a Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro caliber Jamar Chase. And we also saw guys like T. Higgins and Ishivash and Gesicki make plays down the field. It wasn't about what the Cincinnati Bengals were doing on offense. Right. It was about what they weren't doing on defense and the player and offense they couldn't stop, which is the Washington Commanders and their leader, Jaden Daniels.
Yes, that game was about Washington's offense and their quarterback. They didn't run the ball particularly well, but they ran it effectively enough. The other game last night, and there were 2 Monday Night Football games, Josh Allen did this. 23 of 30, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 6 carries, 44 yards in a masterclass performance on how to simply do everything and carry your team. Well, they blew out Jacksonville's 47 to not 47. Here's the head coach of the Bills, Sean McDermott, on the quality of play of Josh Allen.
It's a tough question to say that, this was his best game in terms of being in command or what, but I just see it in practice during the week. And again, he's leading from the front with our football team, with our offense, and then he's getting good support as well. I think our coaching staff has done a really good job, led by Joe. The quarterbacks that are in the room alongside of Josh have done a really good job as well. And just being team players, that's not easy to do. But the guys that are in there, very unselfish in their approach, and I can't thank them enough. And they've got a big hand in this as well. So, but yeah, Josh really played well tonight for sure.
He has played remarkably well the entire season. Josh is one of those. I got pushback from people. We ranked the quarterbacks at the beginning of the year. To me, Patrick Mahomes is in a different class. Right behind Mahomes, I believe you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I didn't include Joe Burrow there because, A, Burrow has spent the better part of 2 years of his young career injured. And the other part is he has elite wide receivers. I can't pronounce the guy's name who starred yesterday, but you've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They've had good tight end play. They've had good running games. And I'm not saying that Joe Burrow isn't great. That is not the point. All I'm saying is I haven't seen Burrow elevate the team around him as much as he is outstanding at utilizing the team around him. And he gets full marks for that. Josh Allen has dragged the the Buffalo Bills to success. In some ways, the same as Lamar Jackson has. I think those two guys are separate from Joe Burrow. And while he has played well, it's not real. I mean, you could say their offense was excellent. They scored, 26 last night? But if you turned that game on in the fourth quarter, you only saw 13. That ain't great. Washington isn't an awesome defense. Anyway, by the way, the Bengals will be in Charlotte this next weekend. Cincinnati is a 4.5-point favorite on the road.
Even after that game.
The Bills are in Baltimore. Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite.
What?
Yeah, I absolutely see that. All right, wow. Final thing before we break. We talked about this yesterday, the notion that the Panthers are done with Bryce Young and will eventually move him. Remember, ESPN, I believe Adam Schefter said that there are multiple teams contacting the Panthers about trading for Bryce. And we joked about it yesterday. I can't imagine that there is a team willing to give Carolina what they should want for Bryce Young. And they should want no worse than a day 2 pick. Ideally, you would get multiple day 2 picks. And it doesn't matter what the team is. Bryce Young isn't going to be traded to a team that needs a quarterback today. He's going to be traded to a team that needs a quarterback in a year or 2 years. For my money, if you could get 2 third-round picks for Bryce Young, you make the deal. You're never getting a first-round pick for Bryce. I don't even think you're getting a second-round pick. But if there's a team that picks in the back half of the draft and you can get 2 third-round picks from them, I would do it. I just don't know who's going to give that up. Here's Adam Schefter on teams expecting the Panthers to do just that.
I don't think there are many people around the league who believe that Carolina's going to hold on to Bryce Young over the long term. Like, once you're benched that early on, most people would seem to think and expect that you're done in that place. And while I don't think that they are expecting to trade him in season, I do think that that's a topic, if it doesn't get done this season, and they say it won't, that'll be revisited after the season because there will be enough teams that express interest as there were last week. And eventually and inevitably, he's going to get traded from Carolina. Question is, when does that happen? And like I said, the Panthers say it won't be this season. That's what they say. And others think it'll happen after this season.
And for the life of me, I can't figure out where he might go. I can't. Maybe it is Miami, but he can't help them now. He's just not equipped to help them now.
Yeah.
But we said it. When they made the move, the rhetoric told you exactly what they were thinking about Bryce Young because there was zero talk a week ago yesterday, nothing that suggested that the move to go to Andy Dalton was a temporary move just to let Bryce clear his head. It had zero to do with that. It had everything to do with they'd seen enough. It isn't going to work. They're ready to move on. When we come back, Brooke Pryor, ESPN, covers the Steelers, watcher of all things football. Pittsburgh is 3-0. Justin Fields is 3-0, even though wins are not a quarterback stat. Is Russell Wilson still QB1? Maybe. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Carolina wins it 47-45 in double overtime.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Adam Gold from our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Week 3 of the NFL is over. Week 4 is on the way. And how about this, new customers? You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. And that first $5 wager doesn't even have to be on the NFL. We do Dinger Tuesdays, don't we, in baseball? Hey, O's, Yanks are playing in New York. They'll hit home runs in that one. Find your favorite player and have a little fun. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. And because we all have football in the brain, FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Experience a Raleigh tradition. Head to Emilio's Italian Restaurant, a family favorite for over 60 years. From weekly specials to their famous homemade recipes, Emilio's uses only the freshest ingredients. Need a touchdown for your tailgate? Emilio's offers delicious takeout, perfect for cheering on the Wolfpack. Or they can host your private party. Emilio's even caters. Emilio's Italian Restaurant, Raleigh's Taste of Italy since 1963. Visit emiliosrestaurant.com for details.
CertaPro Painters knows how important your home is to you. That's why they're focused on helping you bring a fresh color to your home. And you know you can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right, even in those hard-to-reach places. I'm Adam Gold. I had them do my house one time, and we have vaulted ceilings. They did it all. And each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. In other words, they live right here in our community. You can schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
Coming up at 2 o'clock today, you will be able to see Brooke Pryor on television. That's what I was told. That I believe she's doing a Sports Center hit coming up at 2 o'clock today, in which she will speak exclusively to the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation, which is pretty simple. Justin Fields will start until Mike Tomlin is tired of Justin Fields starting. Although, because Brooke has told us this, Mike Tomlin doesn't like to play you lose your starting job because of injury. And it's not like the Steelers are relying on the forward pass all that much. It's not a ton of yards. It's less than 200 yards passing per game, less than 20 completions per game. They're not throwing it a ton, only 25 attempts per game. But the way Mike Tomlin sees it, 3-0 is 3-0. They have a 3-game lead on the Bengals in that division. Only one, though, over the 2-1 Ravens. Joining us on the Adam Gold Show, Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN. I just said you're going to be on SportsCenter coming up at the top of the hour, so we won't keep you that long. 3-0. I mean, again, it wasn't about the offense, but at least they scored 2 touchdowns, which is one more than they had scored through the first 2 weeks combined.
Right. I mean, they increased their scoring by 100%. I'm not great at math, but whatever it is, it's a lot. And They could have scored a third. Najee Harris broke off that long run right there at the end of the game and got tackled just short of the goal line, and it kind of looked like he wanted to score. But, it's funny when you rattle off those stats about, less than 200 yards passing a game, less than 25 attempts, less than 20 completions. Justin Fields was beyond all of that. On Sunday, he had 245 passing yards, 25 of 32 a touchdown passing, a touchdown rushing. He had an interception that was kind of fluky, but still he, I think, stretched the ball more down the field, got a lot of yak from guys like Calvin Austin, who had that 55-yard touchdown. He was, I think, just really smart with the ball and knew when to make the right plays, and he didn't scramble that much either. That's kind of the crazy thing. I think he's just playing very smart football, and when you have a defense that holds the other team to -5 yards in the second half, all you need is a smart quarterback, and good things will happen.
Yeah, the Mike Tomlin, the Steelers formula is, let's not screw this up. Let's lean on our defense, which is elite. We have a good kicker. They've got, 9 field goals through 3 weeks of the season. So all of these things are in place. And is Mike Tomlin in any way, shape, or form still playing the Russell Wilson is our starting quarterback game?
Oh, that's his favorite game to play. In fact, we just got out of the press conference where he was asked straight up, Justin has played well through the first 3 weeks. Why not name him the starter going forward? And Mike Tomlin said, because it's not time to make that decision. And he reiterated what he said last week, that until Russell Wilson is healthy, he is not going to make a decision or change his mind regarding the pecking order, which is why when the depth chart comes out week after week, it's still Russell Wilson QB1 and then Justin Fields QB2. And, it makes sense. You want to keep Russell Wilson engaged and, still, believing in the process, still being as involved as he is, still feeling like he has a shot that when he's healthy, he will be able to be QB1, because Mike Tomlin doesn't let his guys get Wally Pips necessarily. But, I asked him, what does that reasonable, appropriate amount of healthy look like? And Tomlin said, we'll know it when we see it. But essentially, he has to be able to go through a full practice and do what he needs to do to win. And so far, Russell Wilson hasn't been able to do those things. So it's Justin Fields.
So does Mike Tomlin walk past Russell Wilson every day and just kind of kick him in the back of the leg, in the calf?
Not that I am aware of. I have not witnessed that interaction. I think that, it's always better to have 2 healthy quarterbacks or 3 healthy quarterbacks in this case than 2. So, you want Russell Wilson to be healthy, but, it's going to be really hard to take Justin Fields off the field because of the momentum that this team has, and because of how all the guys are responding to Justin Fields. They all are really buying into him as a leader because he's so calm, he's so steady. He very much, though he's a young guy, he has a veteran presence, and he has this aura that, you just want to follow him.
That just speaks to how it is when you play for the Chicago Bears. You age in dog years. So every year is like 5. He's ready to retire. But Fields has done exactly what the Steelers have basically wanted him to do, is we keep the chains moving for the most part, and we don't screw it up. And as long as you could do that and lean on those elements we talked about earlier, things will be fine. So Brooke Pryor, who covers the Steelers for ESPN, I am curious about the way you look at what has gone on in Cincinnati. We're not blaming Joe Burrow, although week 1 I thought, man, he doesn't look healthy. But we're not blaming Joe Burrow for 0-3. But they are 0-3, and they have to be in full-blown panic mode in Cincinnati.
It's not great because it's not necessarily just Joe Burrow in this offense. I mean, I was concerned about the wrist. That seems to not be as big of an issue, but that defense, man, you can't go out there talking about Cliff Kingsbury running a college offense and then get torched like that. And on the flip side of that, I think it was Jamar Chase or somebody a couple weeks ago, I believe, was trash talking, doing a little, giving the team some poster board material before the game. I just keep looking at the Bengals and keep thinking, you guys need to be quiet and just play. I feel like every single week I'm seeing something that's come out of this locker room that is then feeding into the game, and then you're on the losing end of it. I mean, it is a concern. I think that it's just their defense can't seem to get a stop. And yes, Jaden Daniels is really good, but he's a rookie. He shouldn't have been able to just absolutely light up this Bengals defense in prime time. Granted, they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive line, on the offensive line, but it's I am more concerned about the Bengals now than I was after their week 1 loss, knowing that they are a team that is slow to get started most seasons, but it lingering like this for 3 weeks in the AFC North too, that's a hard division to try to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, more problematic for Cincinnati. And I don't mean to disparage the Steelers at all. They're 3-0, but I still think they're probably a 10-win team. I think the Ravens are probably closer to a 12-win team. They're 2-1, and by the way, Buffalo will be in Baltimore coming up on Sunday, and that just is an absolute must-watch for everybody. That should be phenomenal. To me, the second and third best quarterback in whatever order you want to put them in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes will be on the field at the same time. Not at the same time, but in the same game. Well, that would be interesting because I think Josh Allen could probably be successful as like an edge rusher, outside linebacker if he wanted to. But Baltimore at 2-1 is probably the bigger concern for Cincinnati, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Baltimore beating the Cowboys was huge, not just because of the fact that they won, but in how they won, because Baltimore has had trouble historically, especially with Lamar Jackson, in giving up these big wins or these big leads late and just crumbling down the stretch. And I felt like if they crumbled against the Cowboys, I would be even more concerned with the Ravens and the Bengals, because the Bengals, it kind of feels like, all right, they have some injuries, they'll figure some things out. But the Ravens, I mean, the psyche and the lack of momentum that happens when you give up big lead after big lead is just bad. And so the fact that they had this defensive stand at the end, Lamar looked like Lamar. I feel like Rashad Bateman is really good. He's coming on strong. Same thing, Zay Flowers. I feel like this is a team that is on the rise. They needed that win for their momentum, and that's a team that you don't really want to let get momentum because of the Lamar Jackson factor. I mean, he's so good. He's going to be so hard to stop. And so the more runway you give this team when you're the Bengals, the tougher it's going to be to try to catch up, and you're just digging yourself in a hole before you're even getting started.
Yeah, I still can't figure out what the Ravens were doing in losing at home to the Raiders. There have been some results that have just absolutely baffled me. That one did. Denver going to Tampa and throttling the Buccaneers. That was curious to me. Honestly, Washington winning in Cincinnati was kind of a shock, but watching the Commandos as I did yesterday, I'm like, okay, I see it, Jaden Daniels. And I know in Chicago they're going, well, did we take the wrong quarterback? I am curious. Bryce Young isn't the only first overall pick at that position who has either been benched or is about to be. We are hearing now that Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville might lose his starting job. Is that a complete panic by Doug Peterson? Or, I mean, he hasn't played well, so I get it, but it does seem to me to be a panic decision.
That feels like a panic decision, especially after you paid him in the off season. I mean, that's a lot of money to have sitting on your bench. And I'm not the best at econ and sunk costs and things like that. But, like, at that point, yes, I know it is technically a sunk cost, but, like, I think you have to trust him. You know, how much long-term damage are you doing to him and this team by panic benching him? And granted, the Bills' defense is very injured and did not go into the season as one of the best groups in the league, and it certainly took some hits with some injuries the first couple of weeks. But I think you've got to give him some time to recover from that and bounce back from that. But, you know, I think that this season so far is showing how important the quarterback evaluation is, and not just evaluating it in a vacuum, but who you're able to surround these guys with. Because Jaden Daniels is in a great situation in Washington. He's got a good coordinator with him. He's got a good head coach. He's got guys like Terry McLaurin. He's got the run game with Austin Eckler, though he left with a concussion.
Yeah.
Seems to have a pretty good offensive line. You inserted him into a good situation versus poor Caleb Williams. Yes, he has all these skill players, but it doesn't matter if you can't get the ball out to your skill guys because the offensive line has the pass rush in his lap every play.
Yep.
I feel like Caleb Williams, this is not an indictment on his personal evaluation. It's an indictment on what the team chose to spend their money on. in the offseason. We've known for a long time the Bears do not have a good offensive line. Justin Fields can tell you all about that. And if you don't have a good line, you can't do anything. I don't care how mobile you are. And so you're just asking him to do too much too early, and that's why you're seeing the results you're seeing so far.
Final thing for Brooke Pryor, and we're going to bring it back to Pittsburgh since they took on Russell Wilson. They took on the reclamation project that is Justin Fields. Adam Schefter, colleague of yours at ESPN, keeps saying that the Panthers are going to trade Bryce Young. So will the Steelers buy low on Bryce Young in the offseason? I say that half joking, only because of the Steelers keep taking on everybody's quarterback who failed at their most recent job. But somebody's going to trade for Bryce Young on the cheap, I would imagine.
I would have said a year ago that there was no way the Steelers would be involved with Justin Fields, but the price dropped low enough that it made it feasible, and obviously things worked out the way they worked out. But I think that if Fields ends up working out the way he has so far through 3 games, the Steelers aren't going to be in the market for another reclamation project. Right. They don't need to rehab Bryce Young. I don't remember Tomlin as being infatuated with Bryce Young in his pre-draft process, because even the year that Justin Fields came out, the Steelers didn't need a quarterback, but it was pretty well documented how much Mike Tomlin loved him, and that's where, if you're ever curious who Mike Tomlin wants to pursue in free agency or a trade, just look at his routes and where he goes during the combine days and the pro day workouts and things like that, because he very much flirts out in the open with all the guys he's really interested in. And when they get here in the building, they say, oh, yeah, I remember Mike Tomlin from my pro day. We went out to dinner. He talked to me, whatever it is. That's where his process starts. And I don't remember hearing a lot about Mike Tomlin really liking Bryce Young.
Brooke Pryor, appreciate your time. You're the best. At B.E. Pryor on Twitter. She covers the Steelers for ESPN. And 25 minutes from now, she'll be on your televisions. So go check out SportsCenter. Brooke, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got it. We'll be watching here in the studios because it's on. All right, I want to turn my focus here to tonight. The Carolina Hurricanes are playing their first preseason game. They'll have 6. It is tonight, Friday at home, 6 o'clock, early start against Florida. Then the next night, they turn around, go right back to Florida. And then they've got 2 with Nashville, and they close out the preseason at home against Tampa. Dates and times are available at hurricanes.com. So here's what I am looking for tonight. The lineup is, in terms of sexiness for Carolina, you're not going to see Aho or Jarvis or Svechnikov or Natchez or Stahl or Martinook. You're not going to see them. Slavin and Burns are not playing. Chatfield is not playing. Gostisbehere, Walker not playing. Now, that doesn't mean that it is bereft of interest, because I do think that there are at least a handful of really interesting things about tonight's game, not the least of which will be the game broadcast, which I will do the pregame show for. Mike Maniscalco and Trip Tracy will do what they do, which is entertain you and give you all the information you need. And then we'll have the postgame show and, of course, the Canes Corner podcast live on YouTube immediately following the postgame show. But here's why you should pay attention if you are a Hurricanes fan. 3 future Hurricanes are going to be playing together. Felix Unger-Sorum, who, oddly enough, had never played center. All of these prospects were centers coming up, and then moved to the wing. Nope, he's never played center, but he'll play center tonight, and he has played center. He played center in the prospect showcase. He has played center throughout training camp, centering Bradley Nadeau on the left, Jackson Blake on the right. And you're talking about guys that have produced points throughout their life. Not so the case with Unger-Sorum, but when you watch him in practice, you go, oh yeah, he's going to be a point producer. How much stronger he gets, how refined his game gets will determine just how many points, but he is an offensive player. But he is being asked to play center, and that comes with it a lot of defensive responsibilities. We'll see today or tonight just how well he is taken to that. I will say Tampa does not look like they are dressing a top lineup either. None of the big names. The biggest name that will play is Anthony Cirelli. Other than that, not a ton of big names, and Cirelli's not really a point producer. So you've got the kids. Those three kids will at some point be Hurricanes, and maybe one of them, maybe two of them, will be Hurricanes at some point this season. I still say that it is no better than 50-50 that a rookie makes the team. It might be 40-60 that a rookie makes the team. It might even be less than that. But tonight will go a long way as to announcing one, two, maybe all three as bona fide candidates. If I was going to guess, I would say those guys together get 4 preseason games, 4 of the 6. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, because I think if they're going to make the team, if Nadeau or Blake or Ungersohr make the team, it is likely going to be a situation where they're playing in a top 6 role. So I think what we're likely to see, especially if it goes well tonight, is one of those 3 play on a scoring line when the Hurricanes play at home. Just throwing it out there, because there's no sense in having Nadeau or Blake or Ungersohr here if they're going to play on a 4th line and play 8 minutes. No, there's no point. And they know that. They want to develop these guys the right way. So the kids, that's worth seeing. I think we're going to be dealing with, all preseason long, Jack Drury versus Jesperi Kotkaniemi in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'll say this very quickly. I believe Jesperi Kotkaniemi, barring injury, will start the season as Carolina's de facto number 2 center. I don't think there is any amount of performance that Jack Drury can put on the ice or that Kotkaniemi can put on the ice that would flip that equation for now. But I think what could happen if Drury plays well and clearly performs better than Kotkaniemi is that he could shorten the runway for Kotkaniemi to play his way out of that spot. Again, I think Kotkaniemi will start the season as the number 2 behind Aho, likely playing with Necas. And I'm pretty sure Svechnikov over time, because ultimately, if you want Kotkaniemi's line to be successful, I think there's got to be 2 bona fide scorers on it. Because I don't think Jesperi is ever going to give you a ton of points. But he could get a bunch of points by playing in between those 2 guys, which happened a couple of years ago at the start of the season. So Kotkaniemi will start the season as the number 2 center, but I think in the preseason we'll find out just how much time he has to prove to Rod Brind'Amour that he is capable of handling that role. And I know this annoys a lot of people who think that KK is, he's still the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and I guess technically he is because carbon. But he has not performed like somebody who was the 3rd pick in the draft. And last year was a difficult year. There's the 5 veteran wingers who are going to play tonight that are really fighting it out for spots on the Hurricanes roster. Maybe the 2 professional tryouts, Rocco Grimaldi and Sam Gagne. Actually, the 3rd, Skylar Brind'Amour, right? The head coach's kid. But certainly those first 2 veteran NHL players, they're looking to impress. Maybe they get a shot in the NFL, around the NHL, but maybe they also get a shot from this organization and they end up in Chicago with the Wolves, which is where I believe Grimaldi played last year. I'm pretty sure either Grimaldi or Gagne played in Chicago with the Wolves. And the other thing I'm looking at tonight is Pyotr Kochetkov. He's going to start. He'll probably play at least 2 periods, depending on the score of the game. Yanni Peretz will back up. But this is about Kochetkov taking a step forward and being the goalie. I don't think you'll see a straight platoon. I don't think you'll see it, given health, 41 and 41. I think Rod will shade one way or the other. And even if Kochetkov is the number one, I don't think he'll play more than, let's say, 55 games. Well, not 55. I don't think he'll play more than 50 games. I think it'll be that tight. It might be a 48, 30, try to do the math, 34 situation. 46, 36 situation. But I think Kochetkov, it's time for him to establish himself as the goalie. So those are the things I am looking at tonight. Dmitry Orlov, the only regular defenseman who will play. It'll be interesting to see who they put on the power play and the penalty kill situations, all of that. But it's fun because tonight, at least it's preseason. It doesn't mean anything, but it is hockey, and we're excited for that. When we come back, we will stretch, then we will place bets. I got it backwards, and I was close with the Phillies. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, my name's Kate Roper, and I live in Leicester, North Carolina. In September of 2023, I had a tumor removed from my left ear, and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. It was just such a relief knowing that now that I'm covered by NC Medicaid, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay for medical treatment now. It's probably saving my life.
See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Week 4 is here of the NFL, and you can start with a chance to win big on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And I am Adam Gold, and new to FanDuel, you get started $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Don't even have to win it, just have to make it. You can get yourself a single-game parlay thinking ahead to Thursday Night Football, Cowboys and Giants. Giants aren't good. Cowboys, well, we're not really sure, are we? FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olu Jegedi, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcast.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we got time. And we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
This is Adam Gold.
I had no idea John is a Cubs fan, too.
Yeah, I think that's a prerequisite to being the head coach at Duke. I made one comment about the Cubs to Mike Krzyzewski. Goes back a while ago. Talked about the pitching staff, and he goes, yeah, but I don't trust Victor Zambrano. Like, what?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We will place bets in a little bit. I went 0 for 3. Way to go, Gold.
I actually did really good.
Did you? There you go.
Yep. My 2 touchdown scores went. I did my future Bills bet on Friday. I took the over with that one, so that was good.
Buffalo
Bills
did that
over.
on their own.
Yeah. Pretty sure they achieved that by themselves.
They did. It was 46.5.
Exactly.
Buffalo took care of it.
And of course, it was all just units.
Exactly. I got both football games wrong. All right. We'll place bets in a minute. Right now, it's time to stretch.
So I know we talked to our good friend Brooke Pryor, who is all involved with the Steelers. Well, today is Mean Joe Green's birthday, a Pittsburgh Steelers legend. He's 78.
78. That was his number.
Well, there you go.
Pretty sure that was his number?
I don't know.
75. 75.
I remember him on the old school commercials. Was it a Coke commercial?
The Coke commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, kid.
Yeah, kid. In the tunnel.
He actually drank that whole bottle of Coke.
Did he?
Oh, my gosh. That made my eyes water.
And then, for some reason, had to burp afterward. It was so weird.
Sure he did.
Yeah. So that's a fun little fact. Also, I like to look up these other fun little facts. So 90 years ago, 1934, Babe Ruth played his last game with the Yankees, and the Boston Red Sox beat Babe and the Yankees 5-0. But 90 years ago, that was his last game.
He did not play his last game with the Yankees, however. He played his last game with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Right. Yes. So that was 90 years ago. Also, for music nerds like myself, the 33 years ago, the Red Hot Chili Peppers released their 5th album. And then also 33 years ago, Nirvana released Nevermind. So, woo, old school 1991. And if you like The Big Bang Theory, have you ever seen that show?
I've watched an episode. It's not my thing.
It's a lot of fans of it. That came out 17 years ago, so if you needed to feel old, there you go. And now, next up, maybe this is make you feel old. I don't know. This should hopefully make you feel more organized, maybe, and less overwhelmed, because if you feel overwhelmed, now the thing to do, apparently, is to make a to-don't list. So instead of a to-do list, make a to-don't list. Basically, the premise of this is taking out all the non-essential things that kind of just suck up our time and waste our time. So there are certain things we don't need to do. There are examples that they give in this is don't overcommit for social engagements. Maybe if you're able to schedule a meeting, don't do it before 11 if you don't really get things flowing till then. Or don't skip lunch to keep working. I don't know. So these are just all ideas to be mindful of the stuff that are eating up your time. And,
Gotcha.
Whatever. We'll see how it goes. They're still going to eat up your time because that's just what happens. But it's okay. It's good to try, though. Maybe it works for you. You know what might work? Some of our bets, though.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
I had the Phillies.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
To clinch the division under 8, they won 6-2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and
So,
it was against my Cubbies.
No bueno.
so
No bueno. Apologize for
no
that.
bueno. Yeah, I know. And my 2 touchdown scorers, Jamar Chase and Dalton Kincaid, all came through. Really, you could have predicted any touchdown score for the Bills, and they would have scored last night. So now I'm going to go back to baseball. The Cubs and the Phillies, round 2. I'm doing it because I'm a Cubby fan. So give me my Cubs because Steele's pitching tonight. And we'll do under 8. That's plus 210.
All right, we're going to go baseball. We're going all baseball today. We're going to talk to Elliot Johnson, by the way, in about 20 minutes. I'm excited about that. All right, Yankees, Orioles, I think it's in the Bronx. Doesn't really matter. We're going to have runs scored in this game. Home runs will be leaving the stadium. Juan Soto, anytime home run today, plus 330.
It's a good one. Next up, baseball game, Cincinnati Reds. Probably might stink like the Bengals did, but they're in Cleveland taking on the Guardians. So give me the Guardians, and I'll take the over 7.5. That's 175, plus 175.
All right, we will go out west. Padres and Dodgers. Padres hate the Dodgers.
Yes.
Dodgers, not sure San Diego exists. Padres, outright winner over the Dodgers, over 8.5, plus 264.
And last but not least, Baltimore Orioles. They are going to be in New York taking on those Yankees. Give me the Yankees to win this one, and it might be high scoring, so give me the over 8.5. That's plus 200.
All right, and somehow out of nowhere, because they were like 11 games under 500 not that long ago, the Detroit Tigers are in a playoff spot right now. They are hosting Tampa Bay. Give me the Tigers minus a 1.5, over 6.5. plus 295, and as a bonus, Braves going to handle the Mets tonight in the first game of that series. Atlanta minus a 1.5. All right? Wall of Sound is next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my man, Coach Pete DeRuta, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. He is the retirement planning specialist, and he's a big sports fan. That's why we call him Coach, because he has a game plan for your retirement. He also helps you deal with the financial red zone. I don't know what that is, but he does. And you can call him at 888-843-0013, or you could text Adam to 600-700 if you'd rather not have any human interaction. All of that is fine, but it's hockey season too. Maybe we need to get a financial power play. I don't know. Ask Coach Pete about it. 888-843-0013. And if you call or text Adam to 600-700 right now, we're going to get you a total customized retirement plan. That's Coach Pete's game plan for your retirement for free. It's $1,000 value if you don't know me, but you know me, so let's save $1,000 and get ready for retirement in the same day. 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700 for your retirement and Coach Pete DeRuta.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go! It's bow time.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90NATION or at windownation.com.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
In 2 more weeks, we're going to have this conversation. I will say this. Going into this, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're sitting over there not knowing who the quarterback was. I think they figured out who the quarterback is, and now they sit 3-0 and only giving up. Without playing with a quarterback for 2 weeks, they only give them 26 points, guys. 26 points in 3 games, Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're 3-0. And I think this Steele fella, he might have figured it out. And if you're the Chicago Bears, you're scratching your head going, that's interesting.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria, producing the program. Elliot Johnson, our resident baseball expert. He will join us in 15 minutes. I mentioned yesterday that Sunday night I watched 9 innings of baseball that would account for an entire game.
It is.
For the first time this year.
I know, and you said it was only like 2.5 hours or something.
It was over. I think they threw the last pitch at 9:40. Wow. I looked at my phone and went, really?
Wait, what?
Like the football games ended like close to like after 11.
Right.
The second one ended after 11.
Wow.
I actually didn't turn on Buffalo Jacksonville after the early onslaught. I'm like, well, we don't need to watch this. Yeah. Let's just go right with the Commandos and the Bengals. And again, if you're a Washington fan, and I know there are a lot of Washington fans listening, you got to be excited. I do want to say one thing real quick about the Commanders. And I've spoken to Chick Hernandez. We had him on a couple of times during the summer. The last time we talked, he was not confident that the offensive line would be good, and it might not be, to be honest. But they're certainly getting away with it until maybe that becomes exposed. But for the time being, the offensive line has not been too big of an issue for them. But I don't believe that anybody thinks that Washington's O-line is anything other than okay. But Jaden Daniels appears to be way better than okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, if you get lucky, and that's really what it amounts to, if you get lucky, you get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that have not. We're watching potentially Jacksonville bench Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, not a good look.
Yeesh.
That's bad.
And I thought if you were 6'6", you were automatically going to be good.
That's what they say.
At quarterback. You have long blonde hair, you get a big contract.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Doesn't always go well. All right. Baseball with Elliot Johnson coming up in a little bit. Right now, time for the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
And we'll start with the Washington-Cincinnati game, a surprising result. Jaden Daniels, however, not surprised that he has played well.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, because obviously it's something new to me as I continue to train in my rookie year. But also just knowing the aspect, I put in the work. And what's done in the dark will always come to light. So I just know that I'm prepared for these moments week in and week out. I'm just got to go out there and play football and execute.
He's already got the cliches down.
I know, right? Textbook already.
But he is really, really good. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are 0-3.
The common denominator from the first 3 weeks, we've had opportunities and didn't cash in on those. So whatever we got to do to get better this week so we can come back on Sunday and execute in the spots and get better in the spots that we need to is what we're going to do.
And Sunday will be at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte.
I know. And the Panthers are still underdogs. I'm really curious about this game now.
4.5 points. Andy Dalton against the team that made him, right?
His former team.
Because Dalton's been him, I think, with two other situations since.
Yes.
But the team that made him,
he
was the second-round pick for the Bengals in the same year Cam Newton came out.
Yep.
So, yes, interesting. And legend is probably not the right word, but he really is very well liked in Bengals circles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it ran its course.
Sure.
He had, but toward the end, the Bengals weren't good. He couldn't help them. Dalton is really not a guy who's going to drive you. He's a player that's going to take advantage of what's around him. We don't know I know everybody's excited about what they saw Sunday with the Panthers dominating the Raiders.
Yeah.
The Raiders are bad.
Yeah, let's not put the cart before the horse.
So we'll see. But hopefully they'll, play well again and give themselves a chance to win.
Yeah.
The Bengals, however, if it's going to happen, it better happen Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are people on the radio in Cincinnati going, if you can't win that one.
Yeah.
So,
ooh, buddy.
And I don't think it's going to be easy. I think Carolina's, obviously they built some confidence with the win over Las Vegas, so hopefully they can carry it over to this weekend. Ryan Clark from ESPN on what he sees going wrong for Cincinnati.
Offensively, I thought Cincinnati played extremely well. We saw not just a good Joe Burrow, but a great Joe Burrow. Not just a good Jamar Chase, but a Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro caliber Jamar Chase. And we also saw guys like T. Higgins and Ishivash and Gesicki make plays down the field. It wasn't about what the Cincinnati Bengals were doing on offense. Right. It was about what they weren't doing on defense and the player and offense they couldn't stop, which is the Washington Commanders and their leader, Jaden Daniels.
They did play well offensively. There were no punts and no turnovers last night.
Right. Yeah. No. Washington scored on every drive. It was stupid.
And the Bengals kicked a bunch of field goals. That's a problem. They missed a field goal.
Hey, well, at least they kicked field goals because Nick Sirianni was allergic to that in the Eagles game. Wow.
Keep going. Keep going for it. Yeah. Which is fine. Hey, Washington could have done that as well late in the fourth quarter and chose to keep the offense on the field, and they were rewarded for that. But that's impressive. No punts at all. But I think the Bengals can take another step offensively that they were not ready to take. But again, that comes maybe this Sunday against the Panthers. One quick thing, I mentioned the Bengals being 0-3. It isn't that big a deal that the Steelers are 3-0 because the Steelers are probably a 10-win team. And I mentioned that the Ravens at being 2-1 are probably a bigger story for Cincinnati. That would be a big story since the Ravens are actually 1-2. So, as it was pointed out to me on Twitter, the Ravens are not 2-1, Adam. They are 1-2. And I said, you're absolutely right. Where are my glasses?
It's all right. It happens.
How did they lose to the Ravens again?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Right? That made them 0-2.
Mhm.
The matchup was 0-2 Baltimore at 1-1 Dallas. How big a game it was for the Ravens. They won it, actually hung on to win it. And now Baltimore will host Buffalo in a pretty important game.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Really for both.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
important in week 4. I think the Ravens are still okay at 1-3.
Right.
But you don't want to. Those games, Baltimore-Pittsburgh games, those have been wars.
Oh, yeah.
So important for the Ravens to get it. All right. Speaking of Baltimore, Buffalo, Josh Allen, Bills quarterback, on his first half dominance.
And I think it's the same mindset that I've had throughout the season. We're just trying to go 1-0 each week, and again, I think last week we found it through running the ball, and this week we knew we were going to have to throw it. And again, guys made plays. They played us in a lot of man, and again, we just guys making plays. Our offensive line blocked their tails off, and our defense gave us some good field position. So it was a very complimentary football win tonight, and you love seeing those.
34-3 at halftime. It is unraveling for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence, 21 of 38, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He does not look like the first pick in the draft from a few years back, 5 years ago? He's playing on a pretty big contract, although the more you read into the contract, it's not as big a contract as people think. It's not as big a contract as the last few that were signed. It is, for the most part, a modest contract signed by former number 1 overall draft picks. Is also not a contract that Bryce Young will ever sign, apparently. But that's another matter altogether. Herman Edwards on what he sees in Buffalo and the quarterback.
Josh Allen is smiling. And look, and sometimes, through subtraction, you get better. And even when you sometimes have to alleviate yourself from a great player. Stephon Diggs is a fabulous football player, but this is all Josh Allen's football team now. And they go through the tight end. Cooks is he's the main cog now. They're going through the running game. Everything plays off of him. He uses his tight ends. He's got receivers he can throw the ball to. I mean, look, guys, I'm a fan. I'm a Josh Allen fan. I've said it. But right now, this team is really playing good. And he's terrific, man. He's a really good football player.
The only thing that Josh Allen has to guard against are those moments where he forgets smart football. Because he does. He will turn the ball over and you will go, what in the world was he thinking? I mean, not Will Levis bad, but not.
Wow, what a disaster Will Levis has been looking like. Oh, my gosh. This is so bad.
Just dreadful. By the way, how good did it feel for Malik Willis?
I know.
It wasn't like he was the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, but he played very well.
He did.
And the Packers went and beat Tennessee in Tennessee.
Yeah.
After the Titans just completely bailed on Willis after a year, which is fine. He wasn't a first-round pick. I think he was a third-round pick.
Right.
You are more than willing. Hey, look, the Panthers gave up on Matt Carroll, which honestly makes you wonder, why did they trade up?
Yeah. Well,
Never
a lot
mind.
of whys, but
we should probably
Willis
stop
was
talking about it.
totally underestimated, though. Good for him.
Well, I have no idea if he's any good.
Yeah, who knows? But he had a good game at least.
He
his
did have a
first
good game, and they're thinking that Jordan Love might actually be back, if not this week, next week.
Yeah, that'll be good. I know Packers fans are ready for that.
Yeah, right now everybody's chasing the 3-0 Vikings.
It was Sam Darnold and company.
What?
Jeez.
Unbelievable. All right, we'll fold it back to the Carolina Panthers. Adam Schefter says teams will be calling about Bryce Young.
I don't think there are many people around the league who believe that Carolina's going to hold on to Bryce Young over the long term. Like, once you're benched that early on, most people would seem to think and expect that you're done in that place. And while I don't think that they are expecting to trade him in season, I do think that that's a topic, if it doesn't get done this season, and they say it won't, that'll be revisited after the season because there will be enough teams that expressed interest as there were last week. And eventually and inevitably, he's going to get traded from Carolina. Question is, when does that happen? And like I said, the Panthers say it won't be this season. That's what they say. And others think it'll happen after this season.
Okay, I think it will happen too. And I think it will happen when the Panthers decide that they are better off moving Bryce Young for a 4th-round pick as opposed to holding on to him and then being responsible for the contract and everything else. I think they would be better served to move him on. I don't even know if it's best case scenario if he played again this year. Because I think you're better off if he doesn't play. Because if he comes back in, let's say 5 weeks from now, and Andy Dalton is banged up and you go into Bryce Young and he stinks again, then it just completely damages whatever value he's got. Now, I'm not saying that they'd be better served bringing in Jack Plummer, but I do think the Panthers need to move him on, and I think they need to move him on before whatever value he's got doesn't go further south. But ultimately, if I were the Panthers and somebody came to me today and said, we'll give you 2/3 for him, or 1/3, I'd do it. I'd do it. I think they told you everything they needed to tell you about Bryce Young and his future with the organization a week ago Monday, when there was no discussion about whether or not Young was just getting a reset. By the way, tomorrow on the program, we'll talk to Darren Gant. I don't know what he's going to be able to tell us about the future of Bryce Young, but we'll ask him anyway, and we'll let him kind of figure out what he wants to say about it. But I will say that I'm sure Darren can sense a different feel among the players.
I wonder, too, if he was actually at the game, because I kept feeling like I saw him. They show clips of, like, a Carolina Panthers corner, and I think I saw Darren.
I'm sure he was there.
So,
was it somebody wearing Birkenstocks?
Yeah, they didn't show feet. He was sitting down.
Darren Gant.
I did see lovely locks in the
He's
stands.
got great hair. Oh, it's embarrassingly good hair.
Yeah.
That's Darren Gant. All right, well, that's tomorrow on the program. When we come back, it is a baseball night in the Southeast. Atlanta hosts the Mets. The Braves have everything on the line. We'll talk about it with Elliot Johnson next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Everyone's excited about Andy Dalton winning his first start, turning around the Panthers, and I get it. But it's not just Andy. Give credit to Robert Hunt downfield blocking, Adam Thielen making the best catch I've seen a Panther make in a long time, Chuba Hubbard running through tackles. Yes, Andy Dalton was the difference, but it was everybody that stepped up in that game.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. It's the place where you get the best mortgage in the entire world because you don't pay closing costs. Gordon invented the no closing cost mortgage back in 1987, brought it to the Triangle in 1996, and people like me, an 11-time customer with Miller Lending, have been saving thousands of dollars in closing costs ever since. Plus, every time I refinance, I lower my monthly payment. Last time I did so, I lowered my monthly payment by nearly $300 a month. Oh my gosh, that'll make your eyes water. Just like, what is this? Detroit baseball is right now in a playoff spot with a 1-game lead and a big week ahead. That's right. Detroit baseball, New York baseball. Oh my gosh, collision course? Wouldn't that be something? Anyway, Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Do that. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
Attention, if you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They are experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and will fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-970-3199. That's 800-970-3199. 800-970-3199.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, North Carolina, it's State Fair time, October 17th through the 27th in Raleigh. Homegrown happiness awaits. 11 days, just once a year. Come out and celebrate what's great about North Carolina. We've got the best deep-fried delights, the most blue ribbons ever, nearly 100 thrilling rides, and surprises around every corner. Bring your friends, bring your family, but most importantly, bring your sense of adventure. Get your discounted tickets now at ncstatefair.org. See you at the fair.
The clock is ticking. Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is almost over. Until September 30th, you can get 5 years of 0% financing on any purchase. It's the perfect chance for worry-free shopping with no interest and monthly payments customized for you. And now open Sunday, September 29th. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity. From luxury timepieces to engagement rings and more. Don't wait. Spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest on approved credit. Only until September 30th. For details and more, visit DiamondsDirect.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This is Adam Gold.
Maybe at some point after repeated losing, David Tepper will get out of the way.
Yeah, it's going to be on my Christmas list every year until it happens. So, there.
I wish I could give you that.
I wish
I could put a bow around that for you, Victoria.
Me too.
The Adam Gold Show.
Elliot Johnson, my friend, Durham Bulls legend, former Brave, Guardian, Royal, Devil Ray. We got stuff to talk about. We are in the final week of the regular season, and I'm not a pessimistic Mets fan, but I did not foresee, especially through the month of May, that we were going to get to the last week of the regular season, and not only would the Mets have the chance to make the playoffs, but they would be in good shape to make the playoffs as long as they don't do Mets things, which is fall apart. 3-game series tonight in Atlanta with the Braves. And just big picture, from the end of May to now, how do you explain what the Mets have done? I mean, if not the best team in baseball in terms of record, certainly on the short list.
Well, they've been able to stay healthy outside of Lindor. I think Lindor is really the catalyst that kind of drove everything forward. He's done great. Really impressed with how the season has gone. The young guys, Alvarez, he's really played well, Adam. I mean, He's been probably the most important player on that team because of what he does defensively and then the amount of home runs he's hitting this year. Vientos has done great. It's been pretty impressive to watch them quietly make their way into the playoff hunt here, and obviously right now they've got a spot in the dance, but they've still got to make sure that they can take care of the Braves.
Yep.
You know, the Brewers are going to be an interesting conversation because, the Brewers are already in, but that doesn't mean they're just going to lay down. So I think if they can get a couple of these, they're good to go. But if they end up getting swept, we're going to have drama.
Well, if they get swept, Atlanta not only has a 1-game lead on the Mets, but they hold the tiebreaker, so it's effectively a 2-game lead. We no longer have extra regular season baseball at the end. They go by who won the season series, and frankly, they should have been doing that for a long time. As much as those extra games at the end are fun. I mean, nobody will ever forget. You weren't even born. I was alive in 1978 when the Red Sox and Yankees played the bonus game and Bucky Dent went into the net above the monster to put away the Red Sox. That was a different animal altogether. The Red Sox blew a 14-game lead in July. Yankees blew a lead very late to allow the Red Sox back into that. So the pitching matchups, that's the other thing. Mets went into the season thinking that Kodai Senga would be their ace. He's made one appearance this year. So Luis Severino, David Peterson, and Sean Manaea is the Mets trio going into this. They've all pitched well, so I'm not even knocking it. Schwellenbach, Sale, who's probably the Cy Young, and Max Fried. So advantage Braves?
Yeah. But Quintana's been great this year.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
So you got to give him some credit. They got Diaz healthy. So, they've pieced together some decent stuff. Stanek throws gas. They've got some guys here where they can try to make it happen. But you're right. The offense is going to have to show up. Acuna's been a really exciting addition to the to the lineup from an energy standpoint. The guy can hit.
Yeah.
So, Nimmo's coming along a little bit. They got Winker. JD hadn't done a whole lot, of course, so I'm sorry to bring him up. But
it's fine.
They've got plenty of opportunity here to, own their own destiny, so to speak. But if they don't, then, you've got nothing to complain about but themselves. And Iglesias, I'll say this. I when we faced him, he was an out, Adam. We never worried about him, ever. Just throw him a two-seamer outside and let him get himself out. He's having a great year somehow.
Yeah, he's hit 400 at home and 400 over like the last 2.5 weeks. And he's got a hit song. I have no idea. I've been told that the song slaps. What do you make of what Atlanta has? Because like in the same time frame that the Mets have gotten, I think they're about 30 games over 500, and that's basically what their record is with Francisco Alvarez as the starting catcher, on top of the fact that the team ERA is a 1.5 lower with Alvarez behind the plate than it is with somebody not named Francisco Alvarez behind the plate. But the Braves, yes, they've had injuries, but for the most, other than Spencer Strider, the pitching staff has stayed relatively healthy. And some of their offensive players just have not produced as well. But is it that simple, or is it just, it's just one of those years?
I think the health thing, especially in the first half, most of the team underperformed, Adam, with the exception of Ozuna. Everybody, right. The highlights that you watch are like Jorge Soler hitting homers now. And you haven't really seen or heard a whole lot from Kelenic. Michael Harris has done pretty well. They're piecing it together. They got Whit Merrifield and Gio Urshela on the team now. So I think, trying to piece together the magic they created in 2021 with all the waiver claims going down the stretch is kind of what they're trying to recreate, but they don't have that same magic. Okay. Matt Olson is exceptional, like he always is. But it doesn't seem like they've got any momentum. I would say that the Mets have the momentum now. You say all that to say you're one series away from regaining that momentum, so the Mets need to continue to keep that upper hand. But, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to do it, because Chris Sale has been outstanding. I know you're not going to face him this week, but
he's supposed to go tomorrow. Sale's supposed to go tomorrow.
Sale tomorrow, and he's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable, Adam, like Cy Young type.
Yep, Renaissance stuff.
Grant Holmes has been really interesting. Fried has been Fried. They keep bringing Jesse Chavez back, which is funny. And then, Schwellenbach has been great, of course. So, and Jimenez, what's interesting about Joe Jimenez is he actually releases the ball closer to the plate than everybody else. So he almost like reaches over and puts the ball in the glove of the catcher, which is kind of fun to watch. So they've got guys. Iglesias has been good. I think the team overall just needs to kind of play healthy, but I don't know if they've got enough time to be able to make up for it. This series is basically everything for the Braves.
Yeah, the entire season in a nutshell. Again, Mets have to finish with Milwaukee on the road. The Braves are home to Kansas City, who is fighting their way in. And let me just transition to another series real quick, because if I had told you that a Tampa-Detroit series to start the final week of the season would be pivotal for the playoffs, we would have thought Tampa was fighting for, I don't know, one of the top spots in the American League. But it's the Detroit Tigers. Is this it's about time type of deal? Because they have certainly drafted very high in the draft over the last several years. What do you make of the Tigers? This is a great run, too.
No, I think they finally wised up, got smart on the front office side, Adam. Avila was just running that team into the dirt. I mean, they gave how many millions to Ibanez?
Right.
What an absolute mistake that has been. I mean, that's been one of the worst investments, really, one of the worst free agent signings you can imagine. But Kerry Carpenter's been amazing. So, like, you talk about the first pick of the draft, they took Torkelson, and he's not been good. Okay, I mean, that's been a disappointment overall. Parker Meadows has been good, though. Riley Green's been good. And then they got this shortstop, Trey Sweeney. So that's a front office move that really gets them some respect. That he was a first-round pick of the Yankees a few years ago, and they got him from the Dodgers. And he made almost like a potentially season-saving catch the other day with the infield in, colliding with the left fielder, and saved that play in Baltimore, and they ended up winning it.
Yep.
So, like, you want to talk about momentum. Being able to win a game in Baltimore in extra innings, coming off a play like that, that's where you can keep momentum going versus losing that game and then it's all over with. I played with plenty of guys that would, I promise you, refuse to dive for that ball. But I got to give a lot of credit to Sweeney for making that play and colliding with the guy and putting his, really his career at risk by going out there and putting his body in the way of his left fielder, which is not a friendly collision, by the way.
No, I mean, do you know any friendly collisions? Elliot Johnson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show as we get into the final week of the Major League Baseball's regular season. I watched the Phillies intently over the last few days. The Phillies don't look to me. Bryce, I think Bryce Harper might be cooked. I think if you feed him heat away, I don't think he can catch up. He's got some problem with his elbow or wrist or something. To me, he's almost like Kirk Gibson, where as long as you don't speed his bat up, I think you can get him out. I just think the Phillies might be broken. The Dodgers, of course, are another animal, but the Dodgers and Braves in that series, they took turns blowing each other out. So are we getting to the point where get in and anything can happen?
Yeah. I mean, it's like that every single year.
Well, I guess it is. You're right.
Remember the Nationals beating the Astros, and what a happy day that was. So here I want to go back on one thing you asked me a little while ago. A friendly collision. Rougned Odor and Jose Bautista is a friendly collision. Your fans would probably like that one out. So yeah, the Phillies a little bit beat up, but they've got a time here to kind of relax and get healthy. I'm not as worried about them. Like, the Phillies are built for October baseball. I think they're going to be fine. I don't know if they're going to be able to oust. Right now, it's either Milwaukee or Arizona. Of course, I think that 6th seed is probably going to be somebody different when it's all said and done. But the Phillies are going to be fine. The Dodgers are always going to be a threat. But like right now, what's fun about this time of year, Adam, one of the things that's definitely that I love talking about here with you, it's not always the best team that wins. It's the hottest team.
Yep.
So like watch out for Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay. Watch out for the Mets. Watch out for the Padres. The Padres have been on fire.
They've been playing good baseball,
so the Padres don't think anybody can beat them. And, like, goal number one, I'm telling you, like, you talk to anybody with the Padres, Adam, they only care about beating the Dodgers. Like, it's passionate. It's Yankees, Red Sox all over again on the West Coast. It doesn't get as much love because, they're way over there and we're over here. But I'm telling you, like, the Padres' main goal, their bullseye is squarely focused on the Dodgers every single year. So if they can get past that first bracket series and play against the Dodgers, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Dodgers lose to the Padres in that series.
I may or may not, by the way, have a ticket on a Mets-Tigers World Series, just because why not? Yes, I may or may not. A good friend of mine is a Tigers fan, and look, I've just enjoyed. I watched a game without emotional anxiety because I just think I've enjoyed the way they have played. The Mets have played over the last 3 months. It just seems like they're relaxed and having a good time, and I am fascinated to see if Luis Angel Acuna can be the Acuna that changes a Mets-Braves series for the Mets, which I could not believe at the beginning of the season we would even have this conversation. All right, real quick, are the Yankees the team to beat in the American League, or are we talking about somebody else?
Yeah, them and the.
I keep asking you this. I think you like Cleveland, though.
I like Cleveland, yeah, but I mean, when Jose Ramirez has been amazing, and I just feel like, here's what they've got Clase in the bullpen in the closer role.
Right.
If he can stay healthy, they can shorten the game up significantly because he's unbelievable. He's probably the best bullpen arm in the game. I mean, he's Mariano 2.0, except for he throws harder.
Wow.
So if they can get the ball to him, they'll be fine, but they still have to get a lead. So Jimenez has been great. They've got an interesting team. I like them a lot, but the Yankees are basically foretold to be the team. This is the year because they've got Soto there.
Yeah.
This is it. So I'll say this, though. If your forecast comes true, Fox is going to be very disappointed that Detroit gets in and not the Yankees. So I know that we all know that the powers that be, the baseball gods that be, from a marketing standpoint, from a advertisement standpoint, would love for it to be Yankees Phillies, would love for it to be Yankees Dodgers. Yankees Mets would be fine too. I think plenty of people would tune in. But if it ends up being like Milwaukee Detroit, I mean, that's probably the worst one that could possibly happen.
that would not be good for Fox. Elliot Johnson, my friend, I appreciate your time. Playoffs are right around the corner. I'm going to bother you.
All right, sounds great, Adam.
All right, the Padres can still win the West. They're only 3 games behind the Dodgers, and game 1 of that 3-game series is tonight at Dodger Stadium. I picked the Padres to win that and over 8.5 runs. But San Diego is playing great baseball. Dodgers have essentially, had this thing wrapped up seemingly for a while. Dodgers and Phillies right now, LA with a half-game lead on Philadelphia for the final spot, or rather the top seed in the National League. Milwaukee is 4 back, but they're not going to get that. So it's really between the Dodgers and Phillies, sort of for 1-2, but the Padres are fighting for the division lead in the West. So there's still some jockeying for position. And if San Diego does play, super down the stretch, I said this weeks ago, I actually believe that the Braves and Mets can both make it at the expense of Arizona. I do think Arizona's got a 1-game lead on the Braves. The Mets are actually ahead of Arizona right now. So a lot of baseball to watch over the final week of the season. We're coming up on just the best.
Yes, this is prime time.
There are certain times of the year that are amazing, but pennant race baseball, but we're getting into the playoffs next week. You'll have playoff baseball. We're on the edge of the start of the NHL season. College football is in the middle of the season. Week 4, Week 5 of the NFL, we're still kind of figuring it out. Which first round, number 1 overall draft picks are going to get benched. Mm-hmm. All of that. There's just tons going on. It's very exciting. And, of course, we'll have the President's Cup to what? No.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we don't. We don't have that. But seriously, if you're a Braves fan, this is the series. If Atlanta wins 2 of 3, whether they catch the Mets or not, and they'll still be a game behind New York, but if Atlanta wins 2 of 3, I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're not in, but I think that portends very well for them to make the playoffs if they win 2 of 3. And again, could come at the expense of the Diamondbacks, who close out the season at home against San Diego. All right, when we come back, we'll slip into a rewind. We'll talk about the Tar Heels and what to make of this little stretch and the future of Mac Brown. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Week 4 is here of the NFL, and you can start with a chance to win big on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And I am Adam Gold, and new to FanDuel, you get started $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Don't even have to win it, just have to make it. You can get yourself a single-game parlay thinking ahead to Thursday Night Football, Cowboys at Giants. Giants aren't good. Cowboys, well, we're not really sure, are we? FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
ACT Construction Equipment is proud to be your certified local Takeuchi dealer in Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach. Takeuchi has long been a world leader in the compact construction industry. Let ACT Construction Equipment help you find the right machine for the job. Our full line of excavators, track loaders, and attachments are designed for low maintenance and high productivity. Visit us online at actce.com to schedule a demo. ACT Construction Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi dealer.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Psst. Hello there, it's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Youth Advocate Programs is a community-based alternative to youth incarceration, congregate placement, and neighborhood violence. Learn how at yapinc.org.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. Hurricanes hockey tonight on the radio. It is very, very exciting. First game of the preseason. Not exactly a stacked lineup, really, for either team. I was surprised that we're not going to see any of Tampa's players usually. Not any of Tampa's players, but really none of their scoring forwards at all. No Kucherov, no Gensel, and no Braden Point tonight. Normally at home, you'll see more of the team's top players. They, in general, won't make their top players go on the road. And the Hurricanes, for the most part, aren't making theirs. Jesperi Kotkaniemi will play tonight. Jack Drury will play tonight. Among the forwards, it's pretty much the top of the list. We will see the three prospects, the three rookie forward prospects. Well, I guess potential rookies. Nadeau, Unger Sorum, and Blake will all be in the lineup playing together. Dmitry Orlov, the only veteran defenseman who will go to Tampa today, or is actually they left about 15 minutes ago. And Pyotr Kochetkov will start, and Rod Brindamore told me earlier that, well, he might go the whole way, depending on the score, depending on how he feels. All of that. Before we get to the rewind and we talk about the future, potentially, of Mac Brown at North Carolina. So it's been kind of a quiet time. The ACC was discussing whether or not to negotiate a new settlement with Clemson and Florida State. I personally don't see why you would shorten the grant of rights unless you are also shortening the television package and going back to market in 5 or 6 years. I don't believe they would do that. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense from an ESPN perspective to shorten the grant of rights. So I think the ACC is probably just in listen mode. But that's kind of quiet. But right now, the Pac-12 just added, like late last week, they added to their 2 existing schools, Oregon State and Washington State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and Colorado State to go to 6. Need to get to 8 to have an actual conference. What they did for this year was have a scheduling arrangement with the Mountain West. So, yes, they are playing themselves, Oregon State and Washington State, but they are scheduling what amounts to almost a full Mountain West Conference schedule. That's how they're filling in all of their games. Okay, that's great. With that scheduling arrangement came an agreement that the Pac-12 would not try to steal Mountain West Conference teams if they wanted to reconstitute the Pac-12. Well, San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and Colorado State all are Mountain West Conference teams. And on top of that, so is Utah State, who they just had a commitment from and admitted, I guess in air quotes, last night. So that's 5 Mountain West Conference teams left that league to go to the Pac-12. So the Pac-12 owes the Mountain West Conference a penalty for each team that they took. Part of that agreement was a certain monetary amount if you take our teams. And as it turns out, it's about $11 million per school. Because with the first 4 schools that went to the Pac-12, the number was like 43 million. Then they add Utah State, and now the number is 55 million. The Pac-12 is suing the Mountain West Conference on two grounds. One, that agreement in and of itself is illegal. Okay, you signed it. Never mind. Maybe it is. And the other one is, well, you took advantage of us. Which, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if either of those has true legal standing. It does seem comical. Oh, we were vulnerable because we only had two teams and we needed a place to play. And we asked you and you said yes, but we have to do this. And we said, well, we don't have any other choice. I find it all hysterical. Also, I find it hysterical that that conference with all of these state universities in it, I find it hysterical that that conference would get a markedly better television deal than the Mountain West or the American, which is why I'm baffled that anybody is surprised that Memphis, South Florida, Texas, San Antonio, what? And trying to think of the other school, Tulane, opted to stay in the American rather than go to the Pac-12. The whole thing is weird. All right, let's rewind. All right, let's get to the future of Mac Brown. Al Hood, Tar Heel blog from SB Nation, joined us earlier. And it was an emotional locker room. Mac Brown apparently, when he went into the locker room after JMU put 70 on him, and they were still throwing the ball late, Mac offered, hey, if I'm not the right person, then I will step aside. And then he apparently told administrators that he was going to step down, and then he went completely recanted, and then he said I've been misinterpreted, all of this. Like, I fully believe that you could be emotional to the point, no matter who you are, after losing in that manner, where you could doubt whether or not you are the right guy to do all of this. I don't begrudge any of that for Mac. So I asked Al Hood what his read on this situation is.
I think that he did a really big amount of walking back of that yesterday at his press conference.
Yep.
You know, I'm willing to concede to him that it wasn't so much the idea that at that exact moment he wanted to leave, that it was one of those coaches' tropes that you use to try to get the players to buy into you because you feel like anything else you've tried just isn't going to work. But also, clearly there was something about the way he said it to where the reporting by Inside Carolina was such that they reported it the way that they did. Someone inside the locker room felt that it was something that needed to get out to the point to where Inside Carolina would report it. So it feels as if there is definitely some undercurrents going on here to where, I mean, we knew when he was hired he was not going to be a long-term solution for Carolina. At least we thought that he wasn't going to be a long-term solution for Carolina. But it's clear that just the game itself and the fact that the team just, as you mentioned earlier, just looked like they hadn't done anything for the past week. They just had everything just hung up on them, and they just failed to show up, period. It would make any coach sit there and, at least for a second, wonder, are they even listening to me anymore?
Right.
And once you start questioning that, then it is fair to say, is it time for a new voice out here? Is it time for a new voice to start speaking to these kids?
Well, I said this earlier. After last year, which didn't go nearly as well as anybody thought, including Mac Brown, and you have the third overall pick in the draft in Drake May. And also, if you go back to the final year of Sam Howell, That year didn't go well. If Mac Brown wanted to walk away after last year, and I thought he did, I thought they had checked out, then I wouldn't have been upset about that at all. Look, you just had this run of quarterbacks. You don't have that guy now. This was always going to be a more difficult year. Then, I frankly didn't believe he would come back. But now he's here. They're only 3-1, but they just got 70 put on them by JMU. I won't be surprised if this is his final year. Not at all will I be surprised if this is his final year. And in my opinion, last year should have been his final year. But this year, I do believe when it's all said and done, and I think that the announcement will come before the end of the year. And I'll say this. If Duke beats them soundly, and Duke is a 3-point favorite for the game this Saturday. If Duke beats them soundly, I'll be surprised if we get to Halloween. Oh, well. It might even happen before Columbus Day. But I'll be surprised if we get to Halloween and we don't have some announcement. North Carolina, just think about it. It was a good win at Minnesota, but it was a win that probably should have been a loss based on a super accurate kicker missing 2 very makeable field goals. Set that aside. They weren't that impressive against Charlotte. Actually, JMU beat Charlotte more soundly than Carolina beat Charlotte. And they weren't that impressive against NC Central. That was a 17-10 game into the fourth quarter. Final score was super misleading. 45-10 was the final. It was a 17-10 game going into the fourth. It really never clicked apart from having the quarterback. Defense hasn't been good in 6 years of Mac Brown. Now, it wasn't good under Larry Fedora either, but Carolina fans are now used to this. At some point, somebody has to be able to come in and make some of this potential look right. Why is it that State can play elite level defense, albeit not this year, and Carolina can't? Now, you could argue, well, State's not good on offense. I'm here for that. I'm here for that discussion. But I think State's program, even though there were State fans mad at Dave Doran, I think State's program is in far better condition than North Carolina's program. But man, last Saturday did a lot of damage to the narrative around UNC football. Canes, Lightning tonight at 6:30. Stormwatch if you're interested. 6:30 for that. Victoria, thank you. Enjoy the game tonight. I will. See everybody tomorrow on the Adam Gold Show.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And week 3 in the NFL was kind of kooky, wasn't it? FanDuel wants you to have a good time, and new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. And that first $5 wager doesn't even have to be on the NFL. Mets are plus money in Atlanta. We got baseball, but we have the NFL. And we're looking ahead to week 4. If you will, Bengals are coming to Charlotte to take on the red-hot Panthers.